Hello, everybody. Welcome back to yet another episode of the Elder Geeks podcast. The podcast where good games never get old, but we certainly do. But that was smooth. Welcome back again, Elder Geek Phil. How you doing, bud?
Hello, doing great. How are you?
Doing great. And this week, as a special guest, we have Phil's brother, Frank, on the show.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And just as a heads up, everybody, this is we are now officially on Spotify, so please be sure to follow us on Spotify. If you're happen to listen to this on YouTube or SoundCloud or any other forum, I'll be sure to throw a link below there. Give us a follow on Spotify so we can help grow an audience. Frank, back to you. Tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us about your your family size, what you guys game normally, and just a little bit of background about you.
Who are you? Who am I?
Who are you?
That's an excellent question. I ask myself that every morning, actually, and I don't know the answer. So I work in animation. I've worked in animation in the New York City animation industry for about over 15 years now. So that's what I do for a living. My wife does as well. That's what we met on Disney's Little Einsteins. We were both in the animation department. So that's where we met back in 2006. But it wasn't until like years later that we actually started dating and got married. And we have 3 children. My oldest is 10. He's going to be 11 soon. My daughter is 6. And my youngest is going to be 5 within a month. No,
nice.
Less than that. 2 weeks.
Wow. So you have like a nice spread of child demographics for gaming.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Awesome. Wow. So are you allowed to say anything about what you're working on right now?
Yeah, sure. I guess so. Well, what I do mainly for my full-time job, I work for a very small company called Sockeye Media. They do a lot of YouTube preschool content. Which of course would not be interesting to this audience because it's for preschool children. But I juggle a lot of freelance as well. One thing I just wrapped up. I guess I could talk about it. It exists. I was doing some very early preliminary design and building work of a new Clifford the Red Dog, Big Red Dog series. I think that's for PBS or Sprout. I forget. And the other thing I do for freelance is I'm an animator on Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So I've been doing that since back in May.
Cool. That's awesome. Well, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you.
Phil, what do you think? I think we're going to change up format a little bit tonight. One, what do you think about taking no breaks today? We're just powering right through, doing the whole hour.
Ooh. All right, yeah.
Let's do it. All right, and 2...
Unless I really have to pee.
Right, unless you really need to use the restroom, then we'll fire off a flare. And 2, instead of breaking it up by games that our kids are playing and games that we're playing by ourselves, or families that are playing and games that we're playing by ourselves, I'm kind of hoping that we cluster it by person because I'm doing 2 Zelda games and they kind of, clutch to one another. Plus, I feel like we're just going to go off on a big Zelda tangent.
If you're talking Zelda, we're talking Zelda. We're all talking Zelda.
Right.
You've got 2 other people here who can certainly hang with that conversation.
Exactly. And it's going to spin off into which Zeldas are our favorites and why, et cetera, et cetera. So,
and half the listeners just turned off right now.
No way.
I'm done with Zelda.
Phil, why don't you start us off this week, and then we'll go Frank, and then I'll wrap up because again, I feel like Zelda we're gonna be chatting for a while about.
Yeah, sure. So, the girls have basically been playing the same games that they're always playing. But today my daughter was home from school sick, so she got kind of bored, and she started just kind of going through the Switch collection. And she popped in Dragon Quest Builders and started to play that. So that kind of led me to... I started to reminisce about Dragon Quest Builders a little bit when she started to play it. So we bought that when it came out for Switch, which I believe was in February. Actually, it was the same day as my wife's birthday because I remember it showed up and that was like a big... They kept saying that they got a game on her birthday. But I bought Dragon Quest... Going back to, because I always bring up Minecraft on this show, I bought Dragon Quest Builders as kind of a way to hopefully distract them from Minecraft. Because
like a stepping stone away from Minecraft into like a real RPG?
Right, because I knew it was like Minecraft, and I thought, well, there's maybe like a real game in here, and maybe I can get into it, and it would be something fun that we could all play together.
So you don't play any Minecraft, Phil?
What's that?
You don't play any Minecraft, or do you?
I don't play any Minecraft. There was only like 1 or 2 times where I kind of sat down and fooled around with it with them, but I don't play it. It's usually just the 2 of them playing it.
I'm I'm lost when I see it Minecraft, like, because sometimes my kids will play too, rarely, and they're like, I can't do something, and I look at it and I don't know what I'm looking at, and I feel like I get really lost, and it just leads to a dead end. But continue, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So what ended up happening was I really got into Dragon Quest Builders, and I played through the whole game, but I played it with them. So like I read them the story, and there were times where, so the way Dragon Quest Builders works is it's almost kind of like ActRaiser, which is why I really liked it. You have a village, which there's like no village, and you kind of come in there and you build it up, and you make little houses. It gives you blueprints on how to make specific types of houses, like a tavern, and they're all worth like different points and values, and you kind of level up your town as you build these things. And basically the loop of the game is go to the village, do a couple things, a villager will show up, and they'll have quests for you. And then they'll send you out into the world, and you kind of gather some new materials or fight some new bad guys. You bring those materials back to the village, build up the village a little bit, and kind of just rinse and repeat. And at the end of each chapter, I think you build 5. I think there's 5 chapters, so you build 5 villages in all. At the end of each chapter, you face a boss, which the boss comes to your village and he just tears the place apart. Which, when it first happened, we were all just like crapping our pants because
he's wrecking everything.
Yeah, because we just spent so much time making this village like amazing, and he just showed up and trapped, because that's what'll happen. Like every once in a while, some bad guys will attack your base and they will wreck your base, and you have to fix it. But when the boss shows up,
he's just levels.
Yeah, he's just wrecking stuff.
This all sounds awesome to me, by the way.
Yeah, what's that?
Does it go back, like, if you defeat the boss?
Yes.
Is the game kind of kind to you?
So then the game is nice, and after you defeat the boss, your village does reset back. However, there is a boss where it doesn't do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
like that.
So like really just destroys the whole place. So one of the problems I do have with the game is that I really like that first village. Each chapter is long, like hours and hours long. So I really spent a lot of time building up that first village. And then I didn't know that you were going to leave that village. My thought was at the end of a chapter, your boundary kind of expands, and you'll just grow that village you've been working on. But instead, you go to a different land. So you have to start a whole new village over again. So I really, once I moved on from chapter 1, my villages became like the bare, like minimum to get those points.
Right. Bare bone in it.
Exactly. Like I wasn't trying to make things pretty or anything like that.
Right.
And Randy, since you said you're interested, I'm not going to do the big spoiler of the game. I don't want to ruin it for anybody else, but I mean, it's kind of old at this point, which is why I considered maybe talking about the spoiler.
Yeah, there's a sequel to it too. Isn't there a Dragon Quest Builders 2, or is that only announced?
It's coming.
Okay.
Yeah, but the story really ties uniquely into the original Dragon Quest / Warrior for the NES.
Oh man,
which is like really cool. And my experience with that game is very minimal, but I have a little bit of an understanding of it. I know how the game ends, and even I, like as someone that didn't really play that much of it, I was like, oh, this is really neat. Like this is like it hooks into the original game. So I thought that was really cool.
That's awesome. I loved the original. I really did. That was one of those games that I just played over and over and over again.
Dude, I just tried to play it for the first time around the time we were playing this, because then I kind of got into like this after the connection to the first game happened. I was like, it's time to like sit down and play the first game, but it defeated me.
It's hard, yeah.
It's
without
really
having
hard.
like now you'd have to look up stuff on the internet. Like back then we had maps and everything.
Oh yeah.
And the Dragon Quest, there was like a walkthrough that came with Nintendo Power.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
yep.
Sure.
I got my old issues out. I used my old issues.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Did they come in use? Did you use them?
Yeah, I used them up to the point where they were kind of worthless, and then I resorted to some facts, and then really it's just a grind. Like
I can imagine that game being a little unforgiving.
Oh yeah. It's brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah.
You really it really is a grind. You're just.
I remember playing it way back then, and we were definitely Final Fantasy nerds then.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it didn't have the polish that Final Fantasy had, the first Final Fantasy.
No.
So I remember being turned off by it, thinking, it didn't do much for me
Well,
back then.
And the reason it didn't is because that game was like super old when it came here as a new game. I think that game was like 4 years old or something when it came here, whereas like Final Fantasy was pretty recent, like maybe within like a year or two. So yeah, Final Fantasy was like the evolved versions, right? And they came at the same time, so it's just like, of course Final Fantasy was the better game, but
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
Plus, Dragon Quest came with Nintendo Power, so like when you got a subscription to Nintendo Power, like I think right when it launched, they sent you a copy of Dragon Quest.
Somehow we did not get that, Frank. I don't understand.
Well, we didn't get. Randy, what do you mean when Nintendo Power first launched? Because we were on pretty early. We got Nintendo Power maybe.
Or maybe it was a promotion later on, but that's
we were 4 issues in, I think, which they were bi-monthly back then, so it was 6 issues a year.
Right.
I think our first one was Castlevania 2, Phil. Maybe I'm wrong. Which I think is like the
Zelda 2.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. No, you're right.
And it had like that claymation look or the clay look in Mario on the cover.
Yeah, that's the
That's
first
the
one.
shoe one.
Yeah.
Phil's 100% right. Because I remember staring at that Zelda 2 and like analyzing his awesome hair.
Yes.
His 80s coif. It's astounding. And like wondering if that girl was even like a real person.
Well, I had a theory. I had a theory on that. I tried to float it out to Twitter a couple of years ago. I was looking. I recently acquired issue 2, or the Castlevania 2 issue. I forget what issue that is, but I recently acquired that plus a bunch of the other old ones I didn't have. And I realized that Simon is a mannequin. And then I looked at the Zelda 2 cover, and Link and Zelda are also mannequins.
Yeah, she does not look real.
No,
she
yeah.
Does,
yeah.
So I think I was right. Was I right?
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. And
okay.
I almost wonder if Link and Simon are the same mannequin.
We're getting deep now.
Yeah, the lore. It's not even lore. It's just the behind the scenes. It's just.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah, well, now I want to look this up though as to when Nintendo Power was giving out Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior, because I know for a fact that they were, and I don't know if it was a promotion with launch of the magazine or if it was like their 1-year anniversary.
Yeah,
and now after the show, I'm gonna have to look it up.
It was definitely later, and I think maybe what happened is that we were just already subscribed, so we just didn't get the benefit of
Yeah, because that's how a lot of people ended up with that game. But anyway, kind of rolling back to Dragon Quest Builders.
Yeah, sorry.
No. We weren't off topic. We're doing awesome. We're hammering Dragon Quest and Nintendo history here all at the same time. It's amazing.
You got 2 Nintendo nuts on this show, so for your listeners, it's gonna be very Nintendo heavy.
I know. I apologize.
That's okay. So, Dragon Quest Builders. How old are your daughters again? They're like 7, right?
8. They just turned 8.
They just turned 8. So was it a good game to play with them?
Yeah. We loved it. They loved the story, and the story is, it's actually kind of, it's pretty well written. It kind of repeats itself a lot, which reading it like out loud kind of started to kill me a little bit because I'm like reading the same thing over and over, and there was lots of text, but the story kind of handles like mature issues without like. Doesn't really water it down, but it's not. Does
it with kid gloves.
Yes, exactly. So I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it respects the audience, I can say. Like in the second chapter in particular, you go to this. It's like a marsh, so the grounds are just ruined, and you find a nun, and she's your first townsperson, and what you do is you're finding sick people the whole time, and this is a bit of a spoiler, but whatever. So you're filling the town full of sick people, then you're finding ingredients on how to heal them, in addition to building like hospitals for them and all that. And then eventually it gets to the point where the villagers that are sick just kind of succumb to the disease and they turn into zombies. So then you butcher all of them.
Wow, the town
is just they're just beside, after you kill all the townspeople, they're just besides themselves. The nun is just completely upset. but it's done pretty well. Like I could tell it kind of blew their minds when it was happening.
Does she have like a big bucket of their ashes and shove it all over her face? It goes, "We're all a diamond, dog. We're all diamonds."
Wow.
I wish. No. But
we're all diamonds now.
I never made it that far. I never made it to We're All Diamonds Now. As much as I love that game, I never made it that far. Did you?
Well, the reason I was I'm sorry. I was gonna say the reason why I was asking about like if it was good to play with them is because right now I'm trying to find something to play with Calvin. Like I want him to try an RPG, but like I know like a SNES RPG would be way too much reading on my behalf, and I'm debating whether or not I should go Dragon Quest Builders or if I should go with Dragon Quest 11, which from my understanding is all fully voiced, which would save me a ton of reading.
Oh yeah. That's I mean, you could try it. I heard it's great, and I heard it's very similar to the other Dragon Quest games. I've never really played many of the other games.
Oh really?
Yeah, I played 9 on DS. And I think that's about it. That's my Dragon Quest knowledge.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we did a good job of Dragon Questing. What's the game you have been playing by yourself?
So I just picked up Thumper for the Switch, which is on I think pretty much everything. You can get it on PS4, you can get it on Xbox. It was developed by a company named Drool, which this is their first game that they've ever made. So I don't think there's anything else by them, and they describe it as rhythm violence. That's the that's the genre, rhythm violence.
This is also piquing my interest. Tell me more.
So, well, if you're into it, it's only like $8 on Switch right now, I think, because that was what I paid for it. Because I've been waiting for that one to drop because I've been really interested in it. And I saw it was on sale on Friday, so I picked it up. Kind of forgetting that I had Mega Man 11 coming tomorrow and Night Trap also coming sometime this week. Which Night Trap's debatable, but
Nice.
I can't believe you bought Night Trap. But go on.
I can't believe I bought it either.
What did you get it on? What platform?
I got it on Switch. Limited Run Games.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I didn't realize it was coming out on the Switch.
Yeah. You can download it like super cheap. I spent like. I think Limited Run had it for $30 on physical, but
I can't even do
it's like
that.
$15, I think.
I can't bring myself to do that.
I kind of can't. I can't wait.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm looking up the art for this Thumper game, and this is totally Journey Escape all over, man.
Yeah, let's get back to Thumper. So
yeah, sure.
So it's because especially since I've been speaking, like I feel like I've been speaking so long now. Maybe the breaks are good to.
No, you're good.
Everybody's gonna be like, oh my god. So Thumper, so it's this rhythm game. I don't even know how to describe the music. It's
like a rave.
It's not even like a rave though. It's like really. Let me see if the wiki
It's very violent.
Yeah. According to Steam, I love these. These are the popular user tags for the product of Thumper on Steam: rhythm, indie, action, and then it goes to psychedelic before it goes to music.
Yeah, psychedelic. I would definitely say like. Yeah, you definitely like zone out. So all right, so it's a rhythm game, right? So you're this little like scarab. You're riding down a track. So picture Guitar Hero, but picture Guitar Hero's track meets F-Zero. So you're just like you're flying down this track.
Meets the spaceship from Journey Escape.
Yeah. So it's wild, and it's just like real trippy stuff. All sorts of lights are going, and you're just doing really simple things. You're just hitting like the A button every time like a little pad goes across the ground, and then it slowly introduces more and more moves as you move through the game. So each game has the game has 9 stages, and each of those 9 stages is broken up in like these tiny little segments. And when I say like a bunch of segments, like I don't know, 25 plus stages within the main stage, right? And every stage introduces a new move. So the first stage, those like 20 stages or whatever, those 20 segments, it's literally just A button and learning how to make turns. Then after that, they introduce like a jump move, and you jump over these gates. And then every single stage, like I said, just builds on that. So where I am now, I'm on stage 5. I'm doing so many things at once, and it's going so fast. Like I'm pretty close to being defeated. I'm not even sure if my brain.
You can process the rest of the game.
Like sometimes it just goes so fast. It's like insane. So that's really the best way I can describe the game. One thing I will say is that when I played it Friday night, I just was playing it on my TV. I had the volume not too loud because I didn't want to wake the kids up or whatever. And I really enjoyed it. The next day, I played it undocked with headphones on, and that was just like a whole new experience. Like, that's how I'm playing that game from now on.
Nice.
It's like headphones cranked up. I mean, I guess I could play it on the TV with headphones, but I don't know. Undocked with headphones was just pretty wild. But yeah, so Thumper, check it out. It's on everything. And it's also on PSVR, which is probably insane.
Oh my God, you'll lose your mind.
Yeah. It's.
I mean, I played it
insane.
for like 5 minutes tops when I saw you.
Yeah.
This past weekend, and I didn't understand what I was looking at. I'm like, well, it was happening so fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I can
and
imagine
that
if that
was-
thing's strapped to your head,
Oh yeah.
and you can't like look away. I think. I don't know. You might turn into the zombie. Is all I can say. The nun's gonna bury you.
I mean, I think if it could definitely people that are like epileptic, it would definitely be an issue for. Because
Man, you remember when that was like a big fear, like in the 80s and the 90s, when they're like the only games now that I think that give epilepsy warnings are like Ubisoft games anymore. Now nobody warns you anymore. They're like,
well, it was
fine.
Pikachu. Remember, Pikachu did it.
Yeah. It was
And
even
that
before
was-
I think even like Pokemon came to the States, because I remember reading an article in like the newspaper that were like a television show called Pocket Monsters.
Yeah, that was it. That was how. Yeah, that was how it happened. They aired an episode in Japan. Pikachu. Maybe it wasn't even Pikachu, but a Pokemon emitted lots of light, and everybody had a seizure. And then when they brought it here, it is when they.
I'm not laughing at everybody having a seizure, but
It's my delivery. I get it.
Sure.
So when they brought it here, anytime, at least at first, obviously they stopped by this point, but in that first like season, anytime a light flashed, the screen kind of dimmed.
really,
I still feel like Netflix does that a lot. What the heck was
Really?
some show on Netflix? It was a very Sailor Moonish looking thing. My daughter was into it for a while. Phil, you know what it is.
Oh man,
You know what it
Smile Pretty or whatever it was, but that's not its real. That's like its Japanese name.
See, now I want to know if like
Pretty
how
Cure.
many people actually had seizures back then, and if it was just like a massive media overreaction, or if there really was like hundreds of people that had.
I mean, it was
you know.
a fair amount. It was enough to cause trouble.
I don't know. People overreact to a lot of stuff. I'm not saying that, protecting against seizures is a bad thing. Obviously, it's a good thing. But now I want to know.
Yeah. But yeah, those are my two games. So Dragon Quest Builders, great game.
Cool.
I think on PS4 you can find it for super like dirt cheap. Probably way cheaper than the Switch one.
Okay.
And then Thumper, you can probably get cheap on just about anything, and it's super cool. And if you have some kind of headset for VR, definitely check that out.
Cool. Frank, what about you? What are your kids playing? Or family playing?
We've been playing that hot Japanese import called Smile Pretty.
Yep. That's what I said. Dude, it's really called that. It's like
No, it's not. That's not what I'm thinking of. It's
It
a different-
is.
The
Look.
figure, both of our daughters have the figures.
I know, but in the
Oh, in
Japanese
Japan
version
it's called
of it,
Smile Pretty?
it's Pretty Cure. It's Glitter Force.
Glitter Force. That is
Yeah.
exactly what I'm thinking
It's
of.
Pretty
Thank you.
Cure. So that's the
Fair
overall all those shows.
Fair enough.
So
Thank
there
you
it
very
is.
much.
My knowledge was deep.
Your knowledge is very deep about certain topics.
Oh,
That
yeah,
being
the
one of-
worst topics.
Anything you want to know about Mario, the live-action Mario, Phil's going to tell you about. So I guess let me start off with what I've been playing first, because I feel like I have less to say about that, and I have, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
And then we'll move into the second game, which is what we're playing together as a family. And I use that kind of loosely because it's really just me and my youngest son.
Sure.
So what I've been playing lately has been Mega Man X on the Super Nintendo Classic.
Nice.
I mean, I played it way back. I remember we bought it when it first came out. I can't quite remember when that was, but I remember purchasing it, and I don't remember. I think I bought it. It wasn't a gift or anything like that, but I know we had it when it was fresh in the market. And I remember like being pretty blown away by how large the sprites were, how the music sounded, and the presentation in general. And like to this day, I still feel like it's pretty great. Like the music is still great, it's still fresh and like still kind of catchy. So and I may or may not listen to the soundtrack on YouTube anyway, not too long ago. The sprites still look really good. Everything looks really great. So like it's still, I feel like it withstood the test of time.
Mm-hmm.
So like I am having fun playing with it. The difficulty level kind of like caught me off guard a little bit, and like, so I can kind of compare it to maybe like last year. I think it was last year. I was playing the Mega Man 1 through 6 collection on the DS.
Oh yeah.
And like I think that was last year, and I remember
That might be like 2 years at this point. I think
Yeah,
we bought.
maybe it
Didn't we
was.
buy it like together? I sent you the link when I bought it.
I mean
I
that's
think.
possible.
Yeah.
I would not.
I think I.
That's
I
quite
think
possible.
Yeah.
So you often send me links, and I often purchase said link. But anyway, so I'm going back to like a more fresh memory of playing all of those games on the DS, and I feel like I had an easier time with them than I am now, like switching gears to Mega Man X.
Really? Because some of those, I don't know. Some of those are like arguably harder than X. But go ahead.
I would put X on the easier scale compared to a lot of the Mega Man games.
So maybe my memory's a little faulty now. Maybe on the DS on the Legacy collection, maybe there was more quick save features I was using. I don't know if I was or not. Maybe I was. I probably was, and I don't recall. I've been trying to not do that on the Classic. I've been trying to not use save state at all. I'll only use it instead of like using a password. So if I beat a stage or if I beat a boss, I'll use a quick save. So I try to not be totally cheaty in that respect. I've gotten through, and I am cheating on the order of the bosses. So I feel like my time is kind of precious, and like I feel like I don't want to grind for forever. Cause I forget the boss order. Way back then, I remembered it, but I figured I'm just going to cheat on the boss order and at least have somewhat of an enjoyable experience and not get burned down it really easily.
Yeah.
Again, because my time is really limited. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I can sit down and actually play a game to enjoy it. So like I was thinking about like the sprite size too, and like maybe I was comparing it to the sprite size as how I found it on the DS version, and I think this was part of my problem back then too. Like the sprites were larger, and so I feel like the second an enemy entered the screen, like your ability to move out of its way was pretty limited. Like you were going to get hit pretty easily, I feel like. And I was like, well, maybe because the sprites are larger. Is that possible? I don't know. And so I feel like in order to compensate for that, at least this is me, this is my personal experience, even way back then, I relied heavily on the charge shot. Like I would just walk around with my cannon charged.
Totally.
Right. But I feel like, I don't know, is that cheating? I don't know if that's cheating or if it's not playing it properly.
I don't think it's cheating. And I think another way that I think onto your idea about larger sprites, and I don't know if this has to do more so with, well, I mean, it probably all goes together. The game's slower than old Mega Man games. So I wonder if that's more just because of the Super Nintendo is just a slower
processor?
Yeah, or just because it is pushing those things. So it does play a little slower, and I do think maybe that's a way
that
where
could be
it kind
part
of
it.
Balances that.
That could be part of it. You just think it technically maybe can't push the sprites around, so like it's just ratcheted down a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It is possible.
Yeah, that game did have some. I remember it had some slowdown points. Like, was who was the flame dude in that one? Was he
Flame
Mammoth?
Flame Mammoth, yeah.
Yeah, I remember his attack would oftentimes slow down the entire machine quite a bit. But
I just did Flame Mammoth the other day too, and I can't recall if I think it would have replicated on the Classic.
Yeah,
all that stuff's there.
But, so anyway, where was I leaving this off at? So I feel like I feel like I was using the charge shot a lot, and like the one thing that always drove me crazy, like even then, and it still drives me crazy today, is the sound it makes. This is like a weird nitpicky thing, but I feel like all I hear is that. What, does that drive you crazy too? I mean, it drives me nuts.
For sure.
And I'm like, I have to run around with this charge shot, and like it's just making this noise, and I'm like, oh god, I can't stand that sound. It's driving me bonkers.
Yeah,
I think it's worse in classic Mega Man games on the NES because from when it starts in Mega Man 4. Because it actually cancels the sound channel from the music as well, so you're losing like an instrument.
You're losing an instrument.
So not only is it an annoying sound, but the music's not as good.
You know what's funny is if they were to make that game today, like using vibration technology, what they would have done was they would have that initial wee, and then it would probably stop when it's fully charged, and then your controller would probably vibrate.
Well, that's true.
You know, and so I'm sure it has everything to do with them just doing what they had to make it work as a game mechanic.
I mean, that's possible, sure, of course. Like it's a shortcoming, or it was some technical shortcoming.
Yeah.
But anyway, the boss. Someone just mentioned Randy. I think you mentioned Flame Mammoth, but I like all the. I still love all of the intros of all the bosses. They're all great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite is Spark Mandrills.
Yeah.
Because I forgot all about it. When I first got up to him in my recent playthrough here. The lights turn out, and you just see his lights, and I'm like, oh my god, it's the Running Man. It's from, and I had to look up the boss from the Running Man, the Schwarzenegger movie. The one guy is Dynamo. He's the opera singer.
Okay,
And, like,
I don't remember.
That's how you see him come. Like it's all dark, and like you just see lightning bolts, and like he's shooting at Arnold, and all of a sudden it gets completely pitch black, and you just see the lights on his suit, exactly like how Spark Mandrills are.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I got a good laugh out of that when I saw it against when I played it when I got to him recently.
You know what was really cool about
fun.
Mega Man's bosses was when you found the right weapon that worked on them, it had a special like graphical effect on them.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas like the other ones you just kind of had to go on their meter as to whether or not it dealt more damage. But like if you used the ice cannon on Flame Mammoth, he would freeze, and that was awesome.
Yep.
I don't think Mega Man's did that before X.
No, I don't think
it.
they did either. And it wasn't Flame Mammoth, by the way. The ice was used on. I just did that not too long ago. Who the heck was that? The beetle. Oh shoot. Or he's like a mole character.
Yeah,
Shoot.
one of them.
Oh, you
one of
used
them.
the sparks on him on Armadillo.
Oh shoot, maybe
of it?
you're right. I just did this not too long ago. I'm already drawing a blank. Anyways,
the ice
yeah,
you use on Spark Mandrill.
Oh, maybe you do. Jeez.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, the days go by very quickly.
Yeah.
Right before we started recording this, I sat on the couch and I stared at the ceiling. I'm like, what happened today? I don't even know.
Yep.
Another thing that's great about Mega Man X, and I don't believe they do it in any other Mega Man X game, is that beating certain stages will affect the other stage. So if you beat Storm Eagle's stage, his ship crashes into Spark Mandrill's stage, so all the lights are out and there's damage down there.
Yeah, I also did it and I didn't even realize it because I forgot. Flame Mammoth stage was all lava, but
yes.
I forget who you beat first. And everything's cool.
Chill Penguin.
Chill Penguin, yeah.
Penguin, of course.
X was such a great game.
Yeah,
it was really
fantastic.
good, man. I mean, I'm having a great time playing it for sure. And the reason I started playing it in the first place was because I knew I think I just pre-ordered Mega Man 11.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was nabbing that last Amazon,
the
the last hurrah of Amazon, and so that's how long I've been playing it.
I got you there too.
You did.
I was like, the Amazon pre-orders are ending. You got to get these games.
Yeah, I pre-ordered Mega Man 11 and Metroid Prime 4,
which will never come out.
But I got that pre-order bonus. Thank you, Amazon. Anyway, so what was I going with it? Oh, so anyway, that's coming tomorrow. Mega Man 11 is coming tomorrow.
Yep.
So I hope I stick with Mega Man X. I would love to finish it off.
How far are you?
Like I said, I think I got 3 bosses left. I haven't played it all week because I've been busy with work and I've been a little swamped. And I guess that will kind of lead me into my next conversation, because with the game I'm playing with my family, aka really my son, my youngest son, Arlo, we're playing The Messenger, and which I've already played through myself. Who's laughing? What's going on?
I'm laughing
Randy's
because this is 3 episodes in a row that we've done The Messenger.
Is it really? Oh,
no, it's 2. It's 2, I think.
No way, dude. Like last episode, like I think 2 episodes ago you started it. And
I don't think there was any Messenger talk on the last.
And you know what? I'm totally okay with it. I just feel like at this point we should get some free copies of The Messenger from the developer for pimping their game so hard.
Well, maybe after I'm done speaking about it, that may not be the case.
Go for it. I don't interrupt anymore. Go for it.
Right. So. Okay, so I did play it myself all the way through from front to back, and actually just tonight I got the very last green coin, and that was a cool bonus it unlocks.
So explain the green coins. I don't know if I explained them last time.
The green coins are just a bonus item that you can run around and collect. It has no impact whatsoever on the game. It just opens up a chest, and it opens up a really cool item that has a little bit of a nostalgic throwback to it, and it's definitely like a pretty powered up item.
What do you get? Do you get the Ninja Gaiden outfit or something?
You're close. Not the outfit.
Spoiler alert.
It's a spoiler alert. Whatever. Fast forward 5 seconds. You get a windmill shuriken from Ninja Gaiden. So
neat.
You can keep jumping, and the thing will just keep spinning around the room, and you get up to 4 of them. So you can just have like 4 of these things whipping all over the place.
Oh, I didn't realize you could throw 4.
You can throw all 4, dude. Yeah, and you could just wreak havoc and just run around. So it's pretty powered up for sure. But I only played with it for like 5 seconds before I turned it off. So let me look up my. Let me scroll up. my notes here. So the good about The Messenger, right? So it has an awesome soundtrack. I love the soundtrack.
Oh, yes.
And it goes like that extra step between having both 8 and 16-bit versions, which of course kind of becomes fundamental to the gameplay later on. Which I know, Phil, you said and I think I agree with you, that I think the 8-bit version.
8-bit versions are the superior.
They're the superior. Yeah, I think
the 16-bit ones are still good, but they're
no slouch. They're no slouch.
Yeah.
Which means also like it has great gameplay too, like leading into that. So the gameplay is like super tight. I mean, I feel like it's really tight and responsive, and so like also kind of going back whenever I would switch between this and Mega Man X, I would really feel the sluggishness of Mega Man X, which going back even more, a little more into it, so it lends itself to be really fast paced, and I don't think I really realized that until I think my son got a little tired of playing it, so he, oddly enough, he wanted to play Curse of the Moon, which is the remake. Help me here, Phil. What is
it's not a remake.
It's not a remake. I apologize.
It's the D-make.
It's the D-make.
It's the what's the game? What's the
Bloodlines? No, not Bloodlines. Shoot.
It's the game that Iga's making. Bloodstained. Bloodstained.
Jeez,
It's 8-bit.
blood is involved.
8-bit prequel to Bloodstained, which was the kickstarted game by Iga that did the Castlevania Symphony of the Night style games.
Correct. So and then he was asking for help on that, so I would help him on that, and so then I suddenly started thinking as I'm playing, like juggling back and forth between The Messenger and Curse of the Moon, I was like, well, why? I got ahead of myself a little bit here, but I was struggling with The Messenger, where suddenly I found that Curse of the Moon was so slow and sluggish. It suddenly felt, but I was thinking about it. I was like, well, why did I find Curse of the Moon to be a much more enjoyable experience? And then I was like, well, I think it's because it is such a carbon copy of Castlevania 3 that like it took very little for me to pull up all of that, muscle memory that I built up over the years, and I am like immediately dove into Curse of the Moon. Yeah. Whereas The Messenger, it has like the trappings of Ninja Gaiden, but it's not, because it is way more faster. And well, I'll get to the rest of it in a second. So also moving on to good stuff, The Messenger, it has a great sense of humor. It doesn't take itself too seriously. Sometimes it does. The shopkeeper is great. It has really great characters. The boss battles are really smart. They're really fun. Some of them get like ridiculous.
Yeah, some are frustrating. I mean, come on.
Yes, which I'm going to get to in a second. And if you do continue to stick with it, I do feel like it kind of keeps giving to the player. Like it kind of keeps expanding into new. Like I was kind of constantly surprised as I moved further into it.
Yeah.
Like it kept giving. It
opens up. Yeah.
Yeah, it opens up and keeps opening and keeps opening. So I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. So like that was like one of the things that helped bring me back into it. So let me get into the bad and why I was even having trouble with it in the first place. So all that great stuff I was playing it. I was digging it and I was feeling it. And like you start rocking through the first few stages, and you're like, oh, it's okay. The level design's pretty good, but then it hits this point where the difficulty level spikes. Like it just shoots straight up through the ceiling. It turns into Super Meat Boy almost.
Yeah, this is what I was saying on the episode
the first
I was
time.
on. Yeah,
and I remember I was playing when I was listening to you talk about it. I was like, I don't know what he's talking about. But then I hit it, and I'm like, oh shoot! The game turns into like Super Meat Boy, where you're running through a gauntlet of just one hit instant death rooms, where like you can't even see it coming. Like you just die and like, you don't even know it. So like it just turns into this thing where you die repeatedly over and over and over again. So what was once an enjoyable experience suddenly became this really super frustrating experience. And like so I was like, oh my god, I couldn't believe what it turned into, and that was like really kind of disappointing me. And like it almost reminded me of like some of those Super Mario Maker levels where like you see on YouTube where like everything's like perfectly placed, and like, you see Mario perfectly dinging off of all of these things, and he's perfectly making it through the stage, which is like a novelty. But like if you're asking your player to do that after going through some pretty, I don't want to say easy, but like it had its challenges, but then all of a sudden it just goes through the roof. I mean, I can imagine most people probably didn't play the game after that. They put it down, just walked away.
Yeah, I'm glad. Can I speak for a second?
Yeah, of course.
I'm glad you brought up the Mario like levels. So there's like those Kaizo Mario, which aren't even Mario Makers, but they're just like they're like handmade Super Mario like hacks basically with these stages that are insane, and you have to play them perfectly in order to win them. And I was thinking about them. And this game, oddly enough, so that's why I felt the need to jump in here, so it's more of just like a thought. It's interesting to me that a Mario game is capable of really pushing the tools that are there to this point where you can have these stages where you have to have perfect, precise moves to win, and people like kind of watching those stages, but I'm not sure how many people actually enjoy playing them. But it shows
none.
like this.
I can't imagine most people
right.
enjoy playing.
And it shows like this restraint from a developer like Nintendo, where they're able to make these levels that anyone can play. So then you look at a game like the Messenger, where it does kind of start out like that, where you can make mistakes and the levels are fun, but then all of a sudden they do decide to pull that move where it's like, yeah, you have to play this game perfect now. And I don't know if that's always the smartest way to do a game. Is just kind of my thought. And that's, I don't really have like a final thought to it, but it's more just like,
I can
why?
continue with that. I can continue with that thought. So like then I started thinking about the original Ninja Gaiden, and I'm like, well, so like, was that game perfect? No, you say it is, and I think you might be. I know. I'd have to play it again, and maybe I'll agree with you. But I'm like, well, what did I? But there's so many platforms in the original one where like there's this little machine gun guy, and the platform's tiny, and you have to perfectly land this jump, or have a jump and slash, in order to like take him out. But the thing is in Ninja Gaiden that those moments were used sparingly, whereas in the Messenger, it's just that's what the game becomes. It just becomes this hellish gauntlet of little men on moving platforms where you have to literally jump off of their heads and do all these crazy moves. So I don't want to get too much down that tunnel. The next thing
can I say one more thing to defend Ninja Gaiden there too?
Sure, of course.
So yeah, sure. Like maybe there's parts that are like just as frustrating, but Ninja Gaiden's like, if you're good at that game, it's like a 15-minute, 20-minute game that you can just plow through. So you're kind of doing these things over and over again, whereas the Messenger is like this 20-hour game.
Yes.
Where there's just like you're learning tons of it. Yeah. So all right, go ahead.
So then after a while, the Messenger suddenly turns into a Metroid-esque exploration type game. And at first, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. It's going to freshen things up a little bit. The problem is that the game just doesn't have any sort of. It's not laid out to encourage any sort of exploration like Symphony of the Night. Or Super Metroid, for example. Like Super Metroid's map is like way encourages the player to just look around or experiment different ways to get from point A to point B from the inside of the game world, whereas the Messenger's maps are just not. They're not made that way. They're just not made to kind of to explore. So, and there's tons of times in the second half where you're asked to go back to previous stages. Like you have to play through all the stages again, obviously. Maybe not obviously. But to get to those certain spots, it's like a chore. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to go all the way back there again. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And
I played the first stage. Yeah, I played the first stage. God knows how many times.
So many times. Multiple times.
So how long does it take to get to the Metroidvania part? Because I don't think, last time I talked to Phil about this, like I don't even know if, Phil, you were at the Metroidvania part of the game.
And I wasn't sure how it was going to work. So that point where, go ahead.
And it doesn't, I don't think. I don't think it does. I think it breaks, honestly.
It breaks when it turns into a Metroid game, you mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
How many hours would you say you had to put into to get to like the Metroidvania part? Like 12?
8 to 10.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's a lot. That's like a whole game before it turns into a different game.
It is. Right. And it happens that point that Frank's talking about where it gets really hard. So you're still in 8-bit then. And I think I was complaining about this part
I remember you're talking about.
Yeah. So after you do that, you get flung into the 16-bit world. And then you do a stage as the 16-bit stuff. And then after that point is where the game opens up. And I was like back, like Frank said, like it did this thing where it got me back into the game because I was kind of ready to give up, and then it opened up to the Metroid thing, and now you have the time dynamic where old stages have these time portals that kind of change them. It kind of almost turns into Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, really.
That's a good point.
Did you think of that? Yeah. It's like a 2D Echoes, like. Randy, did you ever play Echoes?
No,
So it's just Metroid Prime, but there's this. You go to this dark world, so there's these portals, and basically sometimes you need to go to this dark world in order to get through a spot that you can't get through on the other side. Like it's really kind of just like A Link to the Past.
Yeah.
So this game does a very similar thing.
So let me get back now to playing with my family, and I want to say that my youngest son is definitely the gamer of the family. My oldest son. He plays Fortnite. The end. That's
end of right. That's a lot of parents' stories.
So I would not call him a gamer in any sense, stretch of the imagination. He plays games. He enjoyed playing Splatoon a little bit back then, and he played a little bit of Splatoon 2. But like once him and his buddies discovered Fortnite, like almost a year ago, forget it. That's all he plays. It's so I don't really consider him much of a gamer. He enjoys them, but it's my youngest. Forget it. I mean, if it's video game shaped, he's gonna be attracted to it.
Nice.
Yeah, like he loves going to like we have what the heck? We have a game vault near us, about a half hour away, which is all classic arcade game. He loves that. He loves it, which of course brings a smile to my face. You know, but honestly, so he wants to play the messenger because he loves it too. He's to his credit, and again, you got to remember this kid's 4, he'll be 5 in 2 weeks as of this recording.
Wow. I
mean, he did a pretty darn good job. Like he got up almost to the point where it starts getting really hard all by himself. He did almost all the bosses.
Wow.
Yeah, so he showed a lot of restraint, and he was loving it and playing it and getting into it. But then this is what inevitably happens, and I'm sure you guys can relate too. Like and the messenger just makes it worse. He just gets angry. He just gets furious. He gets furious. So he's sitting on the couch just melting down, and I allow him to play games while I'm making dinner or doing something where I'm just trying to do a little bit of work.
But if it's causing a meltdown...
Oh, my God, the meltdowns are unbelievable.
Yeah.
They're unbelievable.
Right.
So then he just say, I need help. He's screaming he needs help, and he's bawling his eyes out. So I'll go in there, and begrudgingly, I'll help him, and I'll get him through it. And I'm like, Arlo, everything from here on out is impossible. It's, like, ridiculously hard. So, like, that's how I am playing the game with him. It's just me getting him over these humps. Mm-hmm. And then like he runs with he does pick up the ball a little bit and run with it. Like you can buy hints in the game, and I'm like, look, Arlo, this is where you need to go on the map, and I'll go just go to the crags, go to the shattered crags, I think they're called. And he goes, oh, the shattered, yeah. So he knows how to get there. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, he
knows like the area, like he knows the name of the area. You say go to this area, he knows that.
Oh yeah, yes. But like I help him through most of the hard parts, and like, even tonight, what did he do tonight? He got through most of the cloud island himself.
Oh, that's hard.
The elemental islands.
Oh.
Where like you're flying on the back of the dragon.
Yeah, that's still hard.
Yeah, he got through most of that by himself.
That's
he beat
awesome.
The boss. He beat the boss by himself tonight. I was making some pasta, and he was in there. I hear him getting kind of angry a little bit, and then also hear him just go, "Yes!" He screams, "Yes, I did it!" He beat the boss. He beat that the robot concierge.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's hard. Wow.
Yeah, he did it. Yeah.
That's awesome. My son is not good at boss fights. At all.
No.
At all.
So, long story short, The Messenger is a good game. It's not a great game. And playing it with my son, at times is kind of fun. Most of the time it's just kind of frustrating because I'll just hand it back off to him. I'll help him or let him do a part. And then he just gets it just brings out like a horrible side to him. He just gets angry at it. But he loves it. He wants to play it. But God Almighty, he loses his marbles over it, and I get it because I lost my marbles over it multiple times for sure. And there's one more thing too. So like I was playing. So Phil, going back to the part where the difficulty spikes, you go to the Temple of Time. So that's, I had already beaten the game at that point, and I was like, okay, Arlo, I'll do this part for you, but like, word of warning is where it gets impossible. And I started playing it for him, and I found that I was like starting to ace it. Mm-hmm. So like you do get good at it. I do feel like I can like jump over top of the stuff with no problem. However, tonight I was still falling down some pits. Of course, you're being asked to jump literally off of the heads of a bunch of floating banshee-looking things.
That's so hard. Where you have to go.
So I was still dying on that part. I died multiple times.
Yeah.
Trying to get a green coin, but
yeah, that was like I think that was no, it wasn't my last one, but it was one
the
of the
part
last
what
ones.
I'm talking about right now was an ordinary part. I was just walking through one of the stages. And and I'm like, holy.
When you're in the past, but you're in that you're in that tower that was 16-bit the first time.
No, I know what you're talking about. I'm talking about a different part. That's why our point being is that there's so many of these parts throughout the game. That's what adds up to a really frustrating experience.
Yeah. So
anyway,
we're talking about
that's
a different scene. All right.
We are talking about a different scene, but that kind of just proves my point. There's so many parts like that. There's so many like frustrating parts with it, and I wish it was just a little more smoothed out. Good game, not great.
Yeah, I would have preferred that it was just time switching, which was maybe a little more gimmicky, and no Metroid stuff, and it's just like a straight, 7 stages, you're done.
Right, I agree. So that's it for me. So Randy, why don't we move on to you, man?
Cool. I've gotten a little batty watching my son and play pretty much every Lego game under the sun, and he's asked me to play pretty much every Lego game under the sun. And so I shoved Breath of the Wild in his hands, and he seemed to like it okay, but got a little frustrated with it. And so I thought, you know what, Breath of the Wild is a little bit of a big step. So I busted out Link Between Worlds and gave him that. And that was an easier pill for him to swallow because Legend of Zelda Link Between Worlds is top down. There's, it's more arcadey than Breath of the Wild, You die, you wake up automatically, and it's almost comical that there's like the what's his name? Ravio is there, and he's dancing. He's like, "How's it going, Mr. Hero? I took all your stuff. Get back out there." And so dying in Link Between Worlds became less of a chore for him. So, that was a better transition for him. So when he started sitting down playing Link Between Worlds, I would bust out the Switch and sit down next to him, and I would play Breath of the Wild. So that's what I've been playing. So we've been like
Zelda doubleheader.
Yeah, we've been like dueling Zeldas.
I thought it was going to be the reverse. I thought you were going to be a Link Between Worlds, and he was going to be Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild, I think, is actually a little bit too scary for him.
Okay.
Because he was looking over at me one night, and I was fighting Hinox or Hinox or however you pronounce those.
Yeah.
It was in like the dark woods in the game, where the only thing you could see was his eye and like a few of his dangly things, and gave him nightmares that night. He kept running out of his room,
Really?
like, I can't sleep. There's monsters.
My daughter was the same way when she played a little bit. Like she would see a monster camp, and she would start going, and so,
awesome.
However, she loves horses. She loves collecting all the horses. Whereas when Arlo played it, he loved killing all the horses.
Oh no!
I actually didn't even know you could kill the horses in that game.
He killed my Ganon horse. He killed my Zelda horse. And I got furious. But you can go back. I loaded up a previous save, and I was able to right the wrong there. But yeah, he thought it was hilarious. All I hear the horses going crazy in there. I'm like, what are you doing, Arlo? And he's like, ha, I'm killing all the horses. And I'm like, you're killing all my horses. Go ahead.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's a little upsetting, but
but
I hope everything's all right with that boy.
My son's in first grade. Link Between Worlds, I feel like, is a good game for his level because the conversations that you have in the game, it's all text based, but everything is like 2 or 3 lines at a time, and he can handle most of it. Anything that he needs help with, I can pop over real quick and tell him what word he's missing. But I think he's really taken to it, but he gets a little scared about fighting the end bosses. So like once he finds a dungeon, he'll go into the dungeon, fight the dungeon, try to figure out the puzzles, and then once he gets to the boss, he basically just like hands it over to me.
So he can solve a dungeon though?
He solved all of Hyrule's, and right now he's done 2 Lorule dungeons. And so for people who've never played Link Between Worlds before, Link Between Worlds is the direct sequel to A Link to the Past. It even uses roughly the same map, but this time around
last month, right before Mega Man X, I just finished up Link to the Past.
Oh really? That's my favorite Link Zelda game of all time.
It was good. I forgot so much of it.
But in this one, it's there's a high rule and a low rule, which is basically the light world and the dark world, and Link has to sort of travel in between these 2 worlds by pressing himself as a painting, and he can slide between cracks in reality and pop between one reality and the other. Where was I going with this? I don't remember. But anyway, he's enjoying it. I'm enjoying
explaining what low rule was. That's all.
Yeah, so that's what low rule is. I think if I were to rank my Zeldas, I think I would actually go Link to the Past, Breath of the Wild, and then Link Between Worlds. And then after that, I don't know, maybe Ocarina or the original.
It's so hard.
There's so many. I don't even know.
Breath's my favorite. I can say Breath is my favorite one.
Really? Like all-time favorite?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
thoroughly agree.
So good.
See, what I like about Breath is it brings back a lot of the mystery that was involved in the older Zeldas.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to discover so much.
Yeah.
I mean, the original one, they just throw you in there, man. You left to your own devices, and that's pretty much what this one did.
Yeah. And even the original, when you bought the game, it came with the map, and you yourself would like draw little things like burn this bush here and that kind of stuff. And even Breath of the Wild duplicates that, where they give you the map and they let you put your own little markers there, like you could put the little skull in a spot or a little sword in a spot or anything like that. So it takes the printed map and gives it to you digitally, and I really liked that about Breath of the Wild.
So did you start a new file again?
I did, and
wow.
I have been addicted.
Really?
Big
So you're
time.
back in. You're back.
I
in.
am. Both hands,
wow.
baby.
I mean, there's a lot. Grab one.
Awesome.
So even after he goes to bed, I'm still bringing it into my office, and I'm
awesome.
I'm sitting the Switch on my desktop, and I'm playing it with the Pro Controller in my hands.
Oh, nice.
That's a testament to that game. I mean, even when I was playing through it, I remember even saying to Phil, I'm like, I don't know if I could play another game like this. I feel like it's taking so much out of me in terms of just playing it the way I played it. I feel like it was so engrossing, or just like they ate up a bunch of my life. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, easy.
And I'm like, I don't know if I could do this again. But then at some point, like I was helping my son Arlo and Naomi too, my daughter, at times, and I was thoroughly enjoying it. I was like, yep, let's go do it. Let's hit it. Let's do it up. Let's go find those shrines. I loved it. I loved looking for shrines. I was like, where are the shrines? I can't wait to find more shrines.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Randy. Sorry.
Oh, no. I was going to say, there's very little about the game that I disliked. And as I'm playing through it, I'm like, okay, I really wish I could sell items faster, without having, these people comment every time I sell them something. Or, or like the Master Sword. I really wish that the Master Sword just didn't break. Or that there was a way to, I don't know, so that your durability of your weapons, they never break. Like it's some special upgrade or whatever.
Well, there kind of is, but you need to pay $20 for it.
Oh, really? See, I didn't buy any of the DLC for it.
Yeah, that's what the DLC is. The first DLC pack was Trial of the Sword, Frank? Is that what it was?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And I did not finish it.
So the way Trial of the Sword works, if you don't mind me hijacking real quick.
No, go for it.
Is it's like a 3-stage thing. Each stage has like multiple levels, and it's like a survival thing. You're thrown in there with nothing, and you just kind of have to survive and fight tons and tons of bad guys. So when you beat one stage, the Master Sword powers up by, I think, 10 damage.
I think you're right.
And
10.
then the next one it powers up again by like another 10, and then when you finally win, your sword is, I don't know if it's unbreakable. It's basically close because it's always powered up. Now how it like charges up when you're near like a guardian.
The guardian
Or when
stuff.
you're in the castle.
Yeah. It's always that. So it's always in that state. So it basically just lasts forever.
That's awesome.
But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. I think what I really liked about Breath of the Wild was it does a really good job of calling back to the original Zelda, with you finding, the king first, which I don't think anybody ever really thought of the old man in the cave as being the king, but, it kind of makes sense in its little world.
Yeah, well, he's the old man again.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know he's the king,
You don't know he's the king, but he could be,
Yeah.
I like that in Breath of the Wild. This is the Link who failed in his quest.
I love that.
For all intents and purposes, you are playing the entire game in what would be in another Zelda game, the Dark World.
That's a good point. I like that.
And I don't know. I really like it. And it's strange to think of a Zelda game hitting on existential, anything, but Link Breath of the Wild seems to tackle a few existential topics, and I think that's pretty great.
I like that idea of Breath of the Wild being a dark world, of being the what is it in the Link to the World, Link Between Worlds?
Link Between Worlds is low rule.
I like the idea of it being low rule almost. That's actually really awesome. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, because I mean, in low rule, that's basically what it is. The Zelda is still alive. Spoilers for everybody, but in low rule, the Zelda is still alive, but she's holding Ganon at bay, and that's almost exactly what's happening in Breath of the Wild. Zelda is alive, great. And she's holding Ganon at bay before like completely tearing the whole place apart. But it was still a dark world in low world, because all of Ganon's creatures and such are taking over the world, and I like that.
Oh yeah. Are you playing in a different order this time? Like if I ever play that again, I'm definitely not like the game guides you to the Mipha area. God, I can't think. Like the Zora elephant.
Area.
Zora guides you to the elephant. Like I feel like I don't know. Maybe I would go to the Rito village or something first. Like
I went to the Zora village first again, which
okay.
I probably shouldn't have done. If I could do it again and because I completely almost forgot everything about the game from my first playthrough. But now that I'm halfway through it, I'm like, oh yeah, I really should have done it differently. I would probably do the Gorons first, because that shield ability you get, I'm not quick enough to be able to block like ancient laser blasts at me. That shield is my only way of like deflecting that stuff, and I would love to get that power early.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know,
man, you never got good at deflecting guardian lasers.
No, dude, I burn through shields like crazy. You know, and I'll stop them, but yeah, they destroy me.
Oh boy, yeah, I did get pretty good at it, but I mean, God, I've fought so many of them.
Yeah. But
so your son is playing Link Between Worlds?
He's playing Link Between Worlds, and you know, I think he likes it because even if he's not going in any particular direction, he can still go around and find the Maiamais, those little hidden like octopuses and stuff in the trees and such. And
I did play it. In fact, I think I have it right here on my desk. I think it's.
You know, watching him replay it, I was like, "This is such a great game," and I know that resolution-wise, it wouldn't automatically upscale. But man, if they ever ported this over to the Switch, I'd buy it day one.
Dude, yes, that like bundled with Triforce Heroes, HD,
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Give it to me.
Yeah,
I have Ocarina of Time 3DS here. I have Metroid in my hand for DDS.
Too. You played through that as well, too, Randy, right?
And I have Chibi Robo Ziplash.
Not that great.
Which game were you asking if I replayed through?
You played Samus Returns, right?
Yes, maybe.
The 3DS.
Yes, yeah. I actually have it sitting on my desk right now.
I forget. Did you like that?
I never finished it.
Oh, not a good sign.
I got lost. And when I got back to it, I was like, "Yeah, I have no idea where I am in this map."
Oh yeah,
I could see that.
Yeah. You can't put that down.
Yeah, it's pretty cavernous, and one of my gripes with it is that many of the areas all felt samey. Everything looked like the same. Everything. So like you could say, oh, you need to go to this area with maybe whatever. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. A descriptor of a particular area.
Yeah.
But most of the areas all look very similar to each other.
Yeah, I can agree with that, and I think that's why I kind of, when I went back to it, I was like, I have no memory of this place, you know.
Yeah.
So maybe one day I'll restart it, because what I played I really liked, but every time I was playing it, I kept getting interrupted. But yeah, that's all I got to say about the Zeldas is for the week.
Oh.
Zeldas is.
All right,
I mean, there's a lot to say, but I feel like it's all been said. And what are you gonna say, Phil?
I was gonna say the same thing. Like, there's so many things I could say, but I don't want to just keep going on it.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's do our real quick off topics. We'll hammer these out and we'll call it a week. Frank, why don't you go first? What's your off topic to chat about?
I mean, off topic meaning what? Like what I'm up to?
Yeah, like what you're up to. Like favorite movie that you saw recently, or a great book that you read, or anything. Should we come back?
I said I bought Halloween decorations last time. Like,
I'm excited about the Halloween decorations. Yeah.
I gotta say, like right now, I feel like I mentioned at the top of the show, I have a lot of freelance and stuff. So work has kind of unfortunately taken over my life. I feel a little unbalanced. I don't really do much. I just work a lot. That and I just listen to my tree in the backyard putting acorns all over the place. Acorns are constantly attacking my house. My tree is trying to kill me. So I have nothing but a pool of acorns, and probably right this second, there's probably like a family of deer outside my window taking craps all over my lawn. Like, we cleaned it up. I swear to God, my wife was out there yesterday for an hour and a half cleaning up deer crap, and today there was yet another sheet of deer crap.
You must have a lot of deer coming to your house.
I mean, that sounds horrible.
It's
like you have a dog.
Dude.
It's like you have a dog, but you don't.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, but none of the fun. Just the fleas. just the not. I remember one time I did it last year. It was one of the last times I did it, and it was like a heavy 5-pound bag of crap in the bag. It was unbelievable.
Fantastic.
And I already pulled up like the last 2 weeks ago. I did some raking of acorns. It was like, I think it was 20 pounds of acorns.
I was gonna ask. So the acorns get raked. They don't get just like run them over with a lawnmower.
They're like, no, they're decks, no, because like they're below the grass. I can't. I don't know, and I have no place really to put them because like there's no, like, my buddy, he has acorn problem too, but he's got a bunch of woods behind him, so he can just blow them into the woods. Oh. So I have to get them, otherwise I got a million squirrels in the backyard, squirrels and deer. Using my backyard as a toilet. I do have I have a groundhog out there. See, I do like this. Oh. There's a groundhog that lives next door. I'm positive it lives under my neighbor's shed. We call him Fatty. And I have this because where my desk is sitting, Phil, you know where it's at.
Yeah.
I can look out my window and you can see. And every once in a while, I'll look up as I'm working. I do see Fatty out there just chewing on grass. And I do love it. I do love. Yeah, I feel of him. I look at him as my neighbor.
Get me a picture of him.
There you go.
I think I have taken a picture of him before.
Have you? I don't remember seeing him.
Maybe I draw pictures in Hangouts and I send them to my wife.
That's awesome.
So
I don't have groundhogs or deer here, but I have a ton of turtles in our backyard for some reason. Like just tons of them. And now whenever I go out and I mow my lawn, I'm always like ultra careful that I'm not anywhere near a turtle.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Oh, it's rough. What I am doing though on this, I do have an Atari that I've been trying to work on forever. I mean, I think I posted it up on Twitter a while ago. I know Phil just resuscitated his Super Famicom, so I was hoping he could help me with that.
Nice.
Yeah, I can't wait to take a look.
Phil, what's your off topic this week?
So it's funny that he brought up deer crap because my off topic is in a similar vein. So I usually have an ant problem every year for as long as I've been in this home for 10 years, but I've gotten pretty good at it. Like I know how to maintain the perimeter and keep them out for the most part.
And now the weather's getting cooler, they're like, hey, that house is looking pretty nice again.
Ants Revenge today. Yep. So that was
wow.
Oh yeah, Ants Revenge, like mega, just their last hurrah. It was bad. It ruined my whole night. Like I worked from home today, so I was like really looking forward to having like the night. So I'm doing dishes after dinner, and I go into the cabinet to get a like a Tupperware container, and the way my one cabinet works is I have all those in the bottom, and then on the top is where I have like food and stuff, like cereal and all that kind of stuff. I open it up, a million ants, and they weren't there like an hour earlier, so it was like they came in full. Like the scout showed up, he said the coast was clear, and they just bombarded the cabinets. So
did they get into the food or anything?
They were beginning to get into the food. So what I had to do was I took everything out, which was actually good. And that's kind of also the point of the story was like, yeah, the ants like forced my hand into something that like should have been done. So
they did you a favor. They
did me a favor. So here, this is embarrassing, and I probably shouldn't tell it, but like my very top, it's kind of hard to reach up there. I'm the only one that can get up there because I'm tall.
Oh, you have your long arm.
Yeah, my long arm can get up there. Yeah. So my top is usually just like cereal. So I did know that there was like some cereal boxes kind of in the back, So my daughter's in there, and I say to her as I'm cleaning everything out, I was just like, there's some old cereal back here. Now the ants were not in that cereal. That was not the culprit. So I pull it out, and the one box is pretty old. And she's like, I haven't eaten that in a long time. I was like, yeah. And then I pulled out another one. And then the last one, there was 3 up there. The last one, I said, get ready for the worst one. And I pulled out Frankenberry from last Halloween.
I was going to say
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
And like the look on her face. When Frankenberry came out, like the look on her, she was just like, well, I don't understand. Where'd it come from? And I was just like, it just means it's been in there since the last Halloween.
Where'd it come from?
I was like, this is my punishment. I was like, this is what I get. The ants, I deserve to have the ants tonight. And that was what I did. I had to clean everything up. And now all my food is on my kitchen table while the cabinets kind of
air
out.
I mean,
I cleared them out. I got them, but there's a couple of stragglers, so I want the stragglers to get bored and leave. And
what do you get them with?
Bleach.
Yeah, I just used like a cleaner for that because I didn't want to put. I don't want to put bleach in the cabinets with food.
That's what's
I
funny.
do.
So,
I bleach everything.
I bought some Raid. We had some ants at the beginning of the springtime, which we never had before, but we wanted to clean them up. And so I go to the store. I go, all right, here's some ant killer, and it's like now with a fresh scent. And I'm like, oh, all right. So now I'm like murdering colonies with fresh scent, right? So.
Fresh death.
Your demise never smelled so good.
Yeah, fresh death. It's just like...
But then, like, maybe fast forward like a week later or something like that, I see a bunch more downstairs. And I think I was cleaning at the time, so I had like a cleaner in my hand. I was like, I'm going to zap him with the cleaner. And it was like, some bogus cleaner. It was like, I don't even know what it was made out of. It was, I forget what method or whatever it is. So I sprayed them with and they instantly died.
Oh, yeah. Anything will kill them.
Yeah, so I'm like, well, what did I just spend $10 on Raid Fresh Death for?
Because the Fresh Death, this is strange that it would even smell good. I feel like something like that should just smell bad, because even like with kids get a hold of that. Like, yeah, so, but I think the idea is that something like Raid, that smell stays, and they don't like the smell, so they stay away from it. Whereas like you put down your average cleaner, yeah, it's gonna kill them, but they're just gonna walk on top of it.
Oh, I see. But do you think this?
Yeah, the Raid later on they might walk on it and it might kill future visitors.
Yeah,
maybe.
It'll either kill them or just keep them away for a little while.
Yeah, I'm no insect
So do you
guy.
think the fresh scent Raid is bogus? Well, it was doing the job, I guess.
No, I'm sure it's working, but my point is I don't think Raid should just smell good, because I don't know, like, it's death, right? So I don't want like
I did feel weird as I was spraying the aroma of flowers and watching colonies.
You don't want your kid to get a hold of it. Hey, this smells pretty good. I'm gonna like blast it in the air.
It's better than if somebody came over to your house and you'd be like, place smells like Raid, versus smells like flowers,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right, sorry. So that was it. Randy, what do you got?
My off topic is I actually tried an Oculus Rift for the very first time over the past weekend.
Nice.
How disappointed were you?
I wasn't at all. And you know what?
Very different opinions.
That's the horrible thing about it is I was expecting to be like, meh, okay, I can live without this. But I went in and my nephew was having like a birthday party and they rented out a 3D arcade up in middle New Jersey.
Now you got to explain.
Oh, it's basically like a place where you just have parties for like kids, and they've got like 6 VR setups for it, and they've got some other like classic Nintendo base station set up and some other PC games. So if like the kids wanted to play like a round of Fortnite or whatever together, they can all do that.
I love that.
Yeah, and so I was like, you know what, I'll give this a try, and I played Beat Saber on it. And now I really hate to say this, but I really think I want an Oculus Rift now.
Wow. So what's Beat Saber?
Oh, Beat Saber is it's a rhythm-based game where these colored blocks come at you. You hold like a red lightsaber in one hand and a blue lightsaber in the other, and the blocks coming at you will either be red or blue, and they'll have a direction on it. And it's set to the beat.
This.
So if it's a blue down, you have to swing your blue lightsaber down. If it's a red up, you have to swing it up and sideways and such and so forth.
It's cool.
And it was crazy fun. And now I'm sitting here like, how do I get $400 to buy an Oculus Rift?
Play Thumper on the Oculus.
Yeah.
You'll never come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it does sound cool.
Yeah. I mean, but I don't know. Then I'd have to rearrange stuff in my office. I'd have to like pull my desk forward, and then I don't know.
I'm sure it can. I was gonna say, can your computer handle Oculus? But I'm sure your
my machine can for sure.
A beast. Yeah.
I think I just built it last year, so it's fine.
Jeez, yeah. And I know. Yeah, you're not sacrificing anything building your machine.
No, and you know what's funny is I built my machine as it was like my wife kind of let me buy it as a consolation. I was going a little bit nuts, pulling all the housework duties with the kid, and she was like, why don't you just build yourself a new computer? I was like, done. And so I
that's how I got my Miss Pac-Man table. That's great.
Oh really? Oh, that's such a I totally want one of those.
Very, very similar story.
Is it an original like
I have a cocktail table, class of 81 Miss Pac-Man Galaga.
Oh, that's fantastic.
What kind of PC did you make? I just built mine last October. Are you an Intel guy or an AMD?
Intel.
Okay, right on. I have an 80. What the hell do I have? The 8700K. Shoot, I forget already. It does great. I love it.
Yeah, same here.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I don't think I've run anything that it's had problems with, so all good for now.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's about it for me this week. You guys have anything else to add?
No.
Nope. I'm good.
Great show. I honestly I got Thumper on my list now, and thanks to you guys chatting, I have Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon on my list as well. This game looks pretty sweet.
Yeah,
it's fun. Yeah, it's fun. If you dug the old Castlevania games for the NES, particularly Castlevania 3, I think you'll dig it.
Yeah, that's a game that I got into after I finished it, which is odd.
That is funny.
Yeah, like I enjoyed it.
It has replay.
What's that?
It has some replay to it.
I think so for sure. So, I mean, if you don't mind, real quick, like I finished it and I thought it was just okay, but then like it kind of opens up a second mode, and then I did the second mode and I thought, well, this is really cool, and then I did the third mode open, and then I just kept doing modes, and I think I beat the game like 4 times or something.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's for $10. That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, guys, thanks for hopping around. This is a great show this week.
Yeah,
cool.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, anytime. All right, take care, everybody. Have a good night.